All right, guys, well, welcome to the Shopify module. Now, regardless of whether or not you're actually going to use Shopify to drive off Amazon sales, this is an asset that I think that every single Amazon seller absolutely should have. The reason being is that people are going to seek your brand name and your products off of Amazon, even if you're only selling on Amazon. So you want to be able to have a resource, a repository where those customers can go for customer support. And ultimately you will have trickle down sales even if you do nothing on your Shopify page. But it gets a lot more powerful down the line as you grow and build a brand, an omni-channel brand. And it's really going to be a fundamental asset for building a customer list, for retargeting customers, and for generating some e-com sales either through paid traffic or just people seeking your brand. So this module is really going to be an end-to-end but basic approach for how you can set up a Shopify page. Like anything, you can go down to the millionth decimal point. We're definitely not going to do that here. We're going to give you all the core things, the core setup structures, the core apps, and the core ways that you can leverage a Shopify site as an Amazon seller for the most impact. So the key point of this entire module is going to be to provide a step-by-step process to set up your Shopify store for establishing a brand off of Amazon, for cultivating customer information, both email addresses and retargeting pixels, and for generating on and off Amazon sales. So why should you even care, right? Like if you're selling on Amazon, a lot of people see this as a distraction, but I'm telling you, if you put in a half day or a full day on a weekend, you can get most of what you need set up pretty professionally, and the impact can be pretty powerful. This is an example of one of our Amazon-centric brands. We've literally done absolutely nothing to drive any external ads or to promote the Shopify page at all. We simply just have traffic coming from Amazon, customers that find us there and finding us either through research or wanting to rebuy product or customer support or getting information on setting up their products. This is an example over the last year of what's happened. So north of 26,000 people have actually visited the site. And again, this isn't going to pay anyone's bills per se, but we've got just north of $11,000 in sales. One of the key points here though is from all of those sessions, we have 788 customers that have actually purchased product on the site. These are people that we now have email addresses for that we can retarget at launch, and all of these 26,000 plus we can actually retarget that have visited our site using external ads like Google, Facebook, YouTube ads, etc. So here's where the stuff gets powerful in my opinion. The first is customer research. You're going to have a lot of customers and maybe they're a small percentage of total, but they're going to do research off of Amazon as they seek products on Amazon. So they might type in a keyword that matters, go to your actual listing, go to competitors' listings, and they may see your ABC brand or Birdie Golf brand, and you're like, I've never heard of these guys, what are they all about? They go over to Google, search Birdie Golf, and they're gonna check out your site. They're gonna just get a better understanding of what you're all about. So you wanna present that professionally and give them a catch-all place to actually find, because if you type in Birdie Golf and you don't have a Shopify page, who knows what they're gonna find, and that could distract from the on Amazon sale. The second is negative reviews. A lot of people are just going to return the product if they get it and they don't like it, and they may leave a negative review. Another proportion of them are going to actually message you via the Amazon platform to let you know about what the issue is and hopefully get a remedy for it. And then there's going to be another segment of customers that actually search online for your brand or your product, and they're going to go to your about page, your contact page, wherever it is that you have information on your Shopify page, to reach out for customer support. And every single week we get customers that reach out with questions on setup, on how to use the product. And guess what? If we didn't have a place to catch them, they may just return it and leave a negative review. So you get the chance to have a touch point with the customer, improve their customer experience, get them acquainted with your products properly, and answer any questions or issues they may have. The next is list building. And again, this is not going to be a monumental thing. We're not necessarily going to be getting like 50,000 emails that we're going to have massive marketing campaigns, but every little bit can help. And there's some very simple, easy things that you can do one time that will leverage over time an email list and a retargeting list that can be really powerful when you launch new products and you want to retarget those existing customers that have shown interest and or purchased products from you. The next key thing with a Shopify asset is to actually drive on Amazon sales. So we're going to talk about some really big name brands that do this, that basically will have an add to cart or a buy now button as well as a buy on Amazon button, and how using attribution links you can actually get money back when you divert those sales to Amazon, but also instigate those external traffic signals and bringing sales off platform onto Amazon, which, just like in the external traffic module, can be really powerful to help organic ranking. And then finally, over time, we're going to start to peel this onion back more and more. But initially, you just need to understand that you can actually drive off Amazon sales as well using a Shopify page. The core way you can do this is just going to be from organic stuff. So people will just find out about your brand on Amazon. You'll build it over time. They'll seek you out. Some people actually hate Amazon and Bezos and don't want Amazon to get their money. They'd rather the actual brand themselves get it. So you're going to drive sales just organically that way. You're also going to drive sales if you want to leverage paid traffic, whether it's Facebook ads, Google product targeting ads, which is very unique because we use Google AdWords when we drive Google sales to the Amazon page, but you can actually use an image of the product. So if you type in golf bag on Google, there's a whole row of ads that show actual pictures of the product. You can leverage that ad targeting type to drive sales to your Shopify page. So that's probably the easiest. And then the rabbit hole gets deeper, right? You've got Pinterest ads, you've got YouTube ads, you've got TikTok ads, Instagram ads, you name it. You can use paid traffic to drive sales. The other nugget that will happen when you set up a page like this is there may be distributors or retailers that find out about your product, likely because of your performance on Amazon, that want your contact page and want to reach out to inquire about wholesale orders. And this happens surprisingly a lot when you get bigger on Amazon. We actually just got an order in from a pretty large chain that came through our contact page. They wanted wholesale rates. They ended up placing an order. I think it was for like $4,000 or $5,000. So you will start to get those retail inquiries over time as well. So the ultimate goal here is going to be to build, again, the basic infrastructure and setup. It's like anything, you can go to the most advanced level or you can get the basics done and have 80% of the impact. We're going to focus on that basic but really material things that you can do with a Shopify page. And then we're also going to look at some intermediate and some more advanced strategies that you can leverage longer term as we continue to build out modules in the Shopify section. So I hope you dig it. If you've never set up a Shopify page before, this will be a go-to resource step-by-step that you can leverage to set it up. If you've already got one set up, this also may provide some additional nuggets, apps, strategies that you have not thought of that you can then integrate into your Shopify page. Let's go. All right, so for this video, we're going to literally go through the step-by-step process to establish a Shopify site and all of the core things that you're going to need to do. On the list here, we're actually going to show you how to sign up. We're going to look at setting up the initial theme for your store. We're going to do the logo, the header, some of the social links and site links that you need for the bottom of your homepage. We're going to go ahead and set up a product page and all the things you need to fill out there, as well as how you can sync a URL that you may have purchased for your actual homepage. So just go to shopify.com. I'm going to actually try to dig up an affiliate link and see if we can't get a bit better of a deal. If there's an affiliate link we dig up, I'm going to leave it in the description at the top here of this video down below. But if you just come here to start free trial, their standard one's 14 days, so you can kind of get some stuff set up and kick around. It really is important, the store name that you select, because this is one, it's going to be your basically store name.shopify.com. It's just good to come up with the correct name. So if you don't have your brand name established yet, you may want to hold off on this process. So I'm just going to try Birdie Golf here, and it's added some numbers to the end. Let's just do Birdie Golf Co. See if that works. That works. And it just says I'm just starting, or I'm already selling online or in person. I just go I'm just starting. It asks you what you want to sell. Just select online store. Do you want to sell products through dropship? No. There can be some additional things with your Shopify payments and other stuff if you're a dropshipper, so definitely don't select dropshipper. And then just select the region. Here, even if you're based in another country, if your LLC is in the US and you're selling predominantly in the US, just select United States here. And then you can go ahead and create your Shopify account. It's preferable, because you can't change this initial login, to use your actual email. So if it's like support@birdiegolf.co, use that. Otherwise, select a Gmail address account and use something that's correlated to your brand and just something that you know that is always going to be your login info. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with email. I actually set up one here called birdiegolfcompany@gmail.com. Password here, create the account, and it's going to go ahead and build the store and give us our initial setup. I'll save the password just in case we need to log in again. And this is the initial setup. So you are going to need to provide your credit card information coming out of that 14-day trial, and some features will require that you actually put in your credit card info. I'm not going to go do that right now, but just know that you will likely need to have a credit card that you can set up. So we can kind of go down here, and this is basically the setup. So it's got your orders here, any products you set up. If you've got inventory, it's going to be here. It's going to give you your customer list, including who's purchased your products, as well as any email addresses that you have. Finances, it's going to give you a breakdown of sales, performance, things like that. Analytics is a great tab because you can basically see total sales. You can look at how many people have visited your page. This is where you can actually retarget some visitors, and we're going to get to that in a separate video when we look at setting up the pixels. How many customers have returned, what your conversion rate is, average order value. Basically, it's like your financial dashboard here. You can come here to the top and select different time windows if you wanted to look at a month, year to date, etc. Marketing, you don't need to worry a whole lot about, but you can plug in some advertising here. Discounts is something that you can do to create discount codes. So let's say that you had like an email sign up and you wanted to create some discount codes. You can do that here. And then this is the online store. This is basically anything that you need to change on your site itself. So if you want to set up or change the theme, if you want to add new pages, if you want to add new components to your site, this is where that all goes down. And then we're going to have a separate module video here all on adding the apps and the ones that I think are most important for Amazon sellers. So we're going to go ahead and start off by selecting a theme. This is something that I think people tend to get bent over the axle about a little bit. At this stage, if you're just setting up your core site, you're not going to be running a lot of external ads, and you literally just want a home base so that if customers are coming off of Amazon searching for your brand, they find you, or if they've got a customer service issue, they can find you, or if they want to buy products again or replacement products. You don't need to be too crazy here. Shopify's done a lot of the guesswork in terms of setting up these themes so that they're really high conversion. They've got really good user experiences. I wouldn't really worry too much about theme choice at this point. If you did want to actually come in and look at some of the premium themes, you can come in here to the theme section, and they've got a whole section where you can purchase themes for usually around $300 that are more professionally designed than their free themes. But typically, I just recommend starting it with one of the free ones. If you want to go to one of the pro ones or the paid ones, you can totally do that. So if you want to just come here to the Visit Theme Store, it's going to give you a bunch of different options. Again, here's the paid one. If you just select the free one that we previously used to use was Debut, but for whatever reason, I don't see it here. But you know, something that's clean at the top. It's got clean images, clean product pages with like a good header. And it's designed for both mobile and desktop, which most of these are. So this Dawn one looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Dawn theme. We're going to go ahead and try it. And then we've added this theme. We're good to go. So this is where you can customize this thing. So customization is basically changing the logo, changing the creative assets, changing the typography, looking at site links and other links at the bottom and the top of your page. So if you just click on this customize button, this is basically like your editable dashboard. Almost like an Amazon store. So a couple key things that you want to put in here to start out. We want to have the logo, we want to have a banner, and then we want to set up our first product. Products, you may only have one to start, not the end of the world. If you've got a catalog, you can obviously add a lot of those. What I like to do for inspiration here is to go to competitive brands I think are actually pretty legit. These are typically ones that are not on Amazon. So here's a couple here just to draw inspiration from. Sunday makes like a small golf bag. You can kind of get the vibe here, right? Like clean white at the top, logo, very clean product pages, not a whole lot going on here, and then just some stuff at the bottom on the site links. Another one is the Bad Birdie Golf here. Again, very clean at the top with the logo. They've got a pretty big banner that changes. They've got some stuff here on men's, women's, and then they've got kind of recommended carousel stuff, other content. So this is definitely a much more professional site, but you get the idea here. It's white, there's nothing crazy about it. You don't need to really kind of reinvent the wheel here. So if I go back here, one of the things I want to probably do here to start out is to look at the header, and then you'll see here that there's different backgrounds that you can do. I'm totally fine with this background as is. And then you can basically add or change the logo. So if we go over to Canva, if you remember back to our brand building modules, we talked about how to build a logo, different ways to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take our logo here. This is a 400 pixel by 200 pixel logo. You want to make it small as possible just so that the load times are good on your site. I typically like to have a transparent PNG file here just in case I use this and there's another background. It's not going to be white on the background. So to share this, I basically go to download, transparent background, download that sucker there, save it, and then just come back here, and this is where I'm going to change the logo. So I'm going to select an image, drag that sucker over there to upload, select the one there, and then you'll just see that the logo is up there in the top left. Again, you'll see different designs. Some people put it in the middle. I'm a fan of being here on the left hand side. I just think it looks better. And then you can change the width. So you can see this is a little small. So if I just drag this thing here, it's going to make the logo bigger. So you can kind of make it as big as you want. That size looks pretty good. We got 140 pixel width. You can change the position. So if I wanted to be more like those competitive brands, I could put it in the middle like that. Actually, that looks pretty good. I might go ahead and keep that just because I think it looks pretty solid. So you can select which position you want the logo to be in. Now, the next thing that we like to do is just to put a banner up here. Because we haven't actually built out a product, it's just been conceptual. We don't have creative assets. But this is where you would want to take your lifestyle photography ideally and have a really good landscaped banner that you can include here. And then you can edit this images here if you'd like. One thing that we can do too, coming back again to Canva, I just went to templates and typed in golf just to see what would come up. Here's an example, one that's pretty decent. Again, maybe you want to throw your actual product in there, but I think this is pretty solid just to start out. You can customize the text here, or you can kind of notice here that it's also got some customization there with the actual button that can go to a page. So I'm going to do a little bit of customization here within this. We don't need this sucker here. We can delete it. We can delete that. We can delete that, we can delete that, and then we can just have here indestructible. I'm going to delete this because we're going to do the shop button on the actual Shopify, and then you can just put in some brand archetype language here if you want, like not even. So pretty simple. I can just save this as, go ahead and download this. I'm going to actually make this a JPEG because it's a little bit lower quality. Save that sucker. And then we can go ahead here, click on this image. Again, we can go ahead and change the cover image. We're going to select one, go to upload, select it, and boom. Now, because we've included some of the type here, we can go ahead and delete this. This is something, again, you can choose to do it in Canva or on the Shopify page. There could be some benefit in typing it out on the Shopify page here, just so you get some SEO and there's some other stuff there. But totally not necessary. So I'm just going to trash that sucker, trash that one. And then up here, you can just change this, just put like shop, and then you can link it to whatever products we want once we have that in the catalog. And then if you wanted to here again, you could have a carousel up top and you can add secondary images. You can see second images so it could scroll through to different ones, but we're just going to keep it simple and keep it like that right there. This is again where you can bring in some customer archetype language here. Talk about your brand. I'm not going to do that here, but you get the concept. You could have a punchy title that speaks to your customer archetype. You could have just a quick summary here. And then you could get into featured products. You could have a multimedia collage. You could have video here at the bottom. There's a bunch of different options. This is columns for testimonials. So one of the things I definitely suggest that you do, if you've got actual Amazon reviews that you like, you could pull them in here and just put like Mike S., and then leave in a copy and quote from what that review was, and give some of your better reviews that you can kind of put right here. So if you go up here and click on the footer menu, it's going to have the pre-set up ones here. You can kind of name this whatever you want. This is a search one. We could add a new menu item. This could be like Facebook, and then you could post a link here. Go ahead and add that. You could add your Instagram. If you've got YouTube with like setup videos and stuff, you can do that. If you've got Pinterest, you can do that. You get the idea, but we're going to go ahead and save the menu there. We're done with the footer. So if we come back here, you can kind of just see here, it's Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. You can again change these whatever you want. This one's got the footer menu. We could have a different menu that we set up that will show up on the bottom here. Nothing critical. Again, if you go back to some of these competitors, I like to kind of replicate here. So there's a bunch of different stuff here. I kind of like to replicate what they've got. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but that's super simple to set up. The other thing that you can do too, if you come back to menus, you can see the main menu, which is going to show up underneath at the header by your logo. It's got the home, it's got catalog, it's got contact. Some things that we may want to do here just to kind of change it up. We may want to have here golf bags, apply changes. We may want to add in a menu item like best sellers if we've got a broader catalog. And this is where you could kind of go to collections and set up a collection around your best seller. I'm just going to put all collections there, but you could have a bestseller collection that you can tag which collection you want, which we'll show you when we set up the actual products. Add that, and then you definitely want to have this contact here in case customers have issues with your product. You may want to have something here like installation instructions. That again can go to a page that you can kind of create. I'm just going to put it to the contact page, but you get the idea. We could set up installation instructions, add that. I always like to keep the contact on the far right, but this gives us what we need, right? It's the core product that we're selling. It's got the actual information about some of our best sellers. If a customer needs to have installation help, you have that installation guide there. And a lot of customers will go to your site from Amazon if they have trouble with the product. And then there's a contact page here as well. If you want to throw an about page in there that talks about the brand, it's definitely something I recommend, especially if you've got a compelling story. But this main menu section is basically where you would save that. The other thing that's kind of cool about this editor here, if you come up here to the screen, you can actually go to the mobile friendly. So it'll show you how it looks on mobile, and you may need to make some tweaks based on the content that you have. You can go to desktop, you can go to full screen, etc. So we've got the core setup. You can kind of see how these come across the top here. I would probably actually capitalize those. If you kind of look at the competitor brands, that's capitalized there. That's also capitalized. We'll probably want to capitalize that. So there's little tweaks that you can make there. The other thing here, if you come down to the bottom left on theme settings, this is where you can change the colors and have actual accent colors that correlate to your brand. So since we've got some yellow stuff, we may want to actually make, as an example, anytime somebody clicks on a link or you want to have an accent, maybe we come in here and we make that more yellow so that it's a little bit more on brand. Save that. You can do things like that. Another really important one is typography. So you can see the default one that they have with this. We may want to actually change the typography here. Let's just kind of see how some of these other ones look. Montserrat, which I'm kind of a fan of, so you can change that typeface. I'm going to go ahead and do Montserrat. There's different layouts that you can set up here. In terms of buttons, you can show how thick they are. You can kind of, again, go down here and see all of this stuff here. It's got different icons that you can leverage. So you could use an accent, you can use an outline button. So you can see here it's outlined that button. Social media, you could kind of put all of your stuff in here, which is going to use actual logos. So you can see here that it's added these social links in addition to the ones that are right here. So you can also throw that there. So pretty simple stuff. We've saved that. Make sure that anytime you make changes in the top right, you actually have to save it. Otherwise they won't actually show up. Now all the core setup is done here. A lot of customization, a lot of tweaking. But again, the Dawn core theme is one that totally makes sense. The next thing I want to do is actually set up a product here. So we don't have one set up. So we're going to go ahead and add product. The cool thing here is that you don't need to use your Amazon title here. This can be a lot more user-friendly, a lot shorter, a lot more compelling than maybe you would on an SEO-centric Amazon page. So what I might do here is just put like Birdie Indestructible Golf Travel Bag. Again, you can put in your description with bullets. You could add a bulleted list here. This does, again, not need to replicate your Amazon page. You might want to clean this up and use a different descriptor and bullets than you would on your actual Amazon page. The other important thing here, if you notice on the title that we set up, the Birdie Indestructible Golf Travel Bag, if you come down to the bottom, this is super, super important. So once we actually link up our URL, this would be like a birdiegolfco.com as an example. You'll see it's -products -Birdie Indestructible Golf Travel Bag. This is what's going to be the search engine SEO juice on Google as it scrapes it. If you need to edit it, you can kind of change your title here. You can change your URL handle. You can change this little handle here. So if you want to have different keywords that are specific to Google search, you can make that edit here. The other important thing that you'll see here is the meta description. It's just going to pull in typically your description. One thing that I think makes a lot of sense to do is to take your keyword list, your target keyword list from Amazon, because a lot of those words are going to be the same on Google, and literally just copy, paste, and dump all of the words that you can that can fit into this meta description. No customer is going to see this, but this creates some additional SEO juice that Google may pick up and that you might actually get some organic searches on Google. So if we come back up to the top, you can add your files. Since again, we don't have an actual product here, I actually just went to this page here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy some of these photos. Do not do this because these are likely copyrighted. But for the purposes of this example, I want to have some images. And hopefully you'll have more than 3. You can include video. You've got a lot more flexibility than you would on Amazon. It doesn't need to be a white background. All of those rules, etc., don't need to apply. So you've got a lot more creative freedom here. You can just drag these suckers here, and then you'll see the one that's right here is going to be the one that actually displays first. So if you want to move around and, hey, I want that to actually be the photo, you can drag and drop pretty simply there. Price is actually pretty important. If you're not planning on selling a lot and you literally just want a placeholder for customers to come, you want to have this at least be the same price as your Amazon store or higher. The reason being is that Amazon can scrape external sites, and if you have a lower price on your Shopify page than what's on Amazon, you could lose the buy box. So I'm just going to put here price $99.99. If you want to have like a strike through that shows it as a deal, you want to do your compare app price as an example. You can decide to charge tax on the product or not. If you want to have some of the metrics around profitability, you can throw in your COGS here, and it'll show you your margin and your profit. Now the SKU here is literally just one that you make up. Typically what we would have is like golf travel case, and then we would have the UPC number beside it. That's usually the nomenclature that we use. It's also what we use on Amazon. You can also include the barcode here. So put in your number for your GTIN barcode. Again, this is really, really important. Amazon will scrape this if this is a UPC that's associated with one of your products on Amazon. And if the price is lower, it might remove your buy box. But this is really good if you're using 3PLs or anybody that's going to actually ship product via Shopify orders to customers. They're going to want to scan the UPC, so you want to have that product information here. You can track the quantity. You can continue to sell when out of stock. Typically what we'll do is just throw in a pretty big number here and just assume you've got it. And then if we get low on stock, we may come in here and reduce this number and or continue selling when out of stock. Totally up to you. The weight and dimensions can become pretty important if you actually want to print labels, which it's a really seamless process to print labels. So you may want to actually put that in here. Country of origin is going to be, again, more related to import duties, things like that. So let's say that we did actually get it from China. You'd put that there. And then if you've got an HS code or HTS code for imports, you could also put that here. If you've got variants, so let's say you've got multiple sizes, let's say we're selling golf shirts, you could select this here, and then you can add all the different sizes and options and variants that you want, and it'll give you drop-down menus from that core product page. And then that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and save that sucker there. Bada bing, bada boom. And if you go to preview at any time, you can actually see what it would look like on the actual site. So you can see here it's got the strike through. Looks like that yellow color that we selected is a little weird, so we can go into the theme settings and play with that. Super simple checkout, right? You can change the quantity, add to cart, buy it now. You'd have all your bullets here. You could fill out the materials section. You could have shipping return policy, dimensions, care instructions. You could have additional images down here, free shipping, other notes that might help convert customers. So it's a really clean theme. I think it's really solid. The other cool thing is if you've actually got videos, whether it's install instructions, lifestyle videos, influencers, and you want to go ahead and upload them even as private videos to YouTube, you can actually embed them in your site. So I'm just going to go to one of my YouTube clips here. And then if you click on the share button here, it's going to give you a bunch of different options. If you go to this embed one, it's going to give you a whole snippet of code. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and show you what this looks like on the product page. So you can see here, insert video, just copy that snippet, boom, and then it's actually loaded in the YouTube video as well. So I think that actually is a cool thing that if you want to either add to your product pages or other pages with install instructions, it's a super simple thing to do. You can see here, I've got a video in there too. So that's setting up a product. Again, the core thing here is just the UPCs and the price. You don't want it to conflict with Amazon because at least initially you're likely not going to get a lot of sales from your Shopify page. You just want it to look legitimate from the standpoint. So the final thing that you can do here in terms of the core setup is to come to the settings. If you go to your plan options here and actually want to sign up, it shows here that the amount of trial remaining, you can choose your plan here. Users and permissions, this is a cool thing. So some of the users that we have in here, we actually add a bookkeeper on here, so they'll pull all of the reports for sales transaction data. We have our VA team on here as well. So Nina on my team does all of our orders and processing that come through our Shopify page. So to add staff, it's super simple. Could just be here, Nina at heislabs.io. And then you can give them all permissions that you want. So orders, manage settings. I just select all typically. If you want some of your financial stuff hidden, you can deselect those. Then send an invite, confirm, and then if she accepts it with her own email address, can log into this account and kind of do things as needed. Payments, we're going to get through in another video, as well as checkout, shipping and delivery and taxes we're going to get to in another video. Apps we're going to get to. You can see here some of the other policies is something that you want to set up. So honestly and truly, this is something that you could just find from a site that you think is pretty legit, copy it, and then change your information. It's not legal advice, but that's definitely what I do. So let's say that we came back here. I remember these guys had a returns policy. You could literally just copy this sucker all the way down there, and then replace, obviously, so your email is not this other brand, but that's a simple way to do it. You can also replace with a template. So they've got their core one here. That's another one, and it pulls in all the email automatically. That's another way to do it. So you could create from template, or you could replace. So we'll usually just kind of select those and then edit them as needed. Hit save. It's just legal stuff that makes you compliant. But what you're going to want to do for sure, so it's actually more professional, is come to the domains. You can buy one from Shopify if you don't have one. I don't recommend that because they're just not the greatest. If you've got GoDaddy and you type in a URL, they have integration instructions. I use a company called Namecheap. Again, they're kind of annoying domain registrars. They're like super technical, but Namecheap's the one that I use. I would just recommend probably not buying it from Shopify just from a transferability standpoint. So you could connect in an existing domain. So you could put in your birdiegolf.co, hit next. And then you'll see here, this one was actually from a GoDaddy domain. You could connect automatically and then log into your account, and it'll do all of it behind the scenes. If you've got Namecheap, it'll give you instructions for Namecheap, all that stuff. But it's really good because it used to be super complicated to set up a domain and transfer registrars, but Shopify is really slick on setting that up. So that's the core setup. So you've got the theme, you've got all your logos set up, head banner, set up our first product, got our bottom site links all set up, got our navigation bar, we've got the domain connected. We are off to the races. Now we're going to start having some fun in future videos on how to do some fine tuning and some more sophisticated stuff here within Shopify. Okay, so the purpose of this video is to set up the shipping templates as well as your payment infrastructure, both of which are really important if you're actually going to take transactions from your Shopify page and ship out directly to customers. So if you go to the settings section at the bottom left of your homepage and you come in here, you're going to see again this drop down menu that we showed in the previous video. And what you're going to want to do here is go to the shipping and delivery section. And this is really where you can create the rates that you want to have for your particular shipping. You can get really nuanced and have multiple tiers and multiple sizes, which is why it's really important to have your size templates for your products. Or you can just be simple and have some flat rate stuff. You can also do things like if somebody spends over $50 on their basket size or cart size, they get free shipping. You can set up all of those rules here. So if you go to the shipping and delivery, we typically like to just set stuff up for the market that we're primarily selling in, which in our case is the US. If you've got multiple countries, you can set them up at the country level. Again, keeping things simple initially first, I would just start out with the US if that's where you're primarily selling. So you could come in here and just set up the actual product type. So this could be the golf travel bag. You can add a product to it, and then you can create a shipping zone. So this is where you can select the country and have multiple ship points. It gets really tricky if you get people buying internationally. So again, I tend to avoid that initially at least, but you can set up all these at a customized level. I'm just going to go ahead and type in United States here, select that sucker, hit done. And then you could add your different rates. So this is what we want to do here, and we can select our price points. You can get some quotes from UPS if you want, or you can use a carrier or app to calculate rates. So you can select the one down here. Typically UPS is going to be the best. We'll typically just do ground and standard as our options, and then automatically show as new services come up. You'll see here it says created 2 options. So if a customer checks out, they're going to have UPS ground, UPS standard, and we really like UPS here. If you go to the templates, when you go to print a shipping label, all of your company information, your shipping information, the dimensions and weight of your product, once you set those up or in, it'll calculate it out. And then depending on what state this is going to, in the case of the United States, it's going to custom calculate that. So we can go ahead and hit save. If you've got batteries, other dangerous goods, things like that, you've got to select that, but we don't because it's just a golf case. And then this is going to be the return address here. So you could just put your company name if you set up a company, or if you want it to be your personal name, you could do that. Put in your phone number. So you'll see we've got our new custom rate for the golf travel bag for the US. If we got multiple countries, you'd see that down here. Again, to make this a lot more efficient, it's good to take your actual unit level dimensions and set them up here so that it'll calculate it and print out the label appropriately. Here you could just add the package name, so we could have golf travel case as ours here. And then I don't recall the dimensions, but let's just say it's 40 by 40 by 40, and then it's 39 pounds. We could add that package. And then it's going to be associated with our printout. And then on Amazon, you can get one of the thermal printers. Definitely recommend it for even shipping in stock to Amazon. But you can use a thermal printer. If you're using a 3PL, you can basically print out these labels, or if you give them access to your account, they're going to have the thermal print and it'll print it out on those label options, and it's super efficient to get done. The other thing you can do here is if you want to have some free shipping over a certain dollar amount or cart size to instigate more people to buy more, you can just come in here to this general section and go to the rates manage section. You'll see here you could add a rate here, and so you could set up your own rates. This is one where you could basically have a price of free, and then you can actually add some conditions here. So based on price. So if the price is say over $100, you can make it so it's free. So I hit done there. And then you can see here, this is all going to be based on weight, and depending on whether it's economy or standard, which is going to auto calculate based on your size template. And then we can see here $100 and up, it's free. So if you wanted to do a banner at the top of our page from the theme settings, we could add a banner and just say free shipping on all orders over $100 in the US. It's another conversion rate optimization trick that you can add, and definitely helps instigate customers to purchase from your site if you want. Again, like anything on Shopify, make sure in the top right you hit save. If you navigate away from that, some of those things can be lost. So that's shipping. The next thing you're going to need to be able to do, especially if you're taking orders, is to actually activate payments. A great option is the Shopify payments. It's basically a buy via Shop Pay. I use it all the time here in the US. Basically, if you use Shop Pay, it'll send you an authorization code that you put in, and it remembers all of your credit card information. It's very similar to PayPal and Amazon for checkout experience. You just activate this. Typically, you're going to want to have an actual LLC with an EIN number so that they can actually have those financial things. So it's very difficult to set this up as an individual. So you definitely want to probably look at this after you've actually set up your business entity. Same thing with PayPal. You can go in and create a PayPal account. You'll have to provide your EIN number, your LLC information, and then you can even activate Amazon Pay here as well. There's other options here that you can add payments. So like Afterpay is one which helps break up payments, which can help with conversion rates. So let's say that we've got a super expensive golf bag, it's $100. We could break that into like 4 simple payments if we activate the Afterpay. So if we just do activate Afterpay, that'll give another option where customers can break up the payment for those higher ticket items. So if you sell stuff that's over, I would say $100, that's something that you may want to add to your site, becoming very popular with shoppers here in the US. So you've got your shipping rates set up your product templates for any products that you want to ship, including dimensions, weight. That'll help calculate everything. It helps to have a thermal printer, and those labels will print right out either at your place or at a 3PL. And then we've got our payments set up so that we can actually receive payments. Really important, if you're using a bookkeeper, again, you're going to probably want to add them as a user on this account so that they can pull all the reports on a monthly basis, and then they'll feed those Shopify fees, those Shopify revenue numbers, etc., into your actual P&L, so you can start to see on a monthly basis not only your Amazon sales, but also those that come through your Shopify page. So the purpose of this video is going to be to walk through how to add both the Facebook tracking pixel as well as the Google tracking pixel. Now, even if you're just setting this up initially just as a home base for customers to have a legitimate, trusted way to look at your brand online, You may later on want to target your customers or retarget them with Facebook ads, Google product display ads, or even YouTube ads. So setting up the tracking pixel is a little snippet of code that Shopify will embed on every single page that gives you data so that you can go ahead and set up ad campaigns to retarget them. This is super, super critical, especially for launches. If you recall, there's something like 28,000 visitors that we've had to our site that we don't even promote. Guess what? We can activate that with a Facebook ad when we've got a new product launch on Amazon to retarget customers that have visited and or purchased products from our Shopify site when we launch that product. Same thing with Google tracking. You can serve up ads to people on the Google platform as well. So most of you probably won't be leveraging this initially, but the sooner you get this set up, the better, because you'll accumulate more data and you'll accumulate data from day one of setting up your Shopify page. And if you've already got a Shopify page, this is something that if you don't have in place, you definitely want to do it and get that cracking. So it's pretty simple. If you come here to the online store and then you go to the preferences drop down, you've got all this kind of core information here at the top, and this is where you've got the Google Analytics as well as the Facebook Pixel. It's super easy. If you click on this link, it'll just kind of give you all the details about what Google Analytics is, how to set it up, how to build out funnels, all that kind of crazy stuff. But really what you're going to want to do is go to analytics.google.com, set up an account with your brand email. So again, if it's like support@birdiegolf.co, set it up using that so you're using the same email. And then once you actually have a Google Analytics, Google Ads account set up, you can then use a tag that's within that account and plug it in here. All of this stuff here has a detailed step-by-step stuff, so I'm not going to kind of spend a ton of time on that here, but go sign up for those accounts. Once you get that snippet of code, all you've got to basically do is just paste it in here, and you're off to the races for Google. Again, if you click up onto this, how do I set this up? There's all kinds of detail here that will give you some insights there. In terms of the Facebook Pixel, what you're going to want to do is set up a Facebook business account. What that's going to enable you to do is to create an ad account within the business manager that will enable you to target people from your brand. You're going to want to typically have a brand page set up on that so that you can actually serve up the ads from your brand name and not obviously your personal Facebook setup, but very similar to Google. Once you go through these Facebook setup pixel process, it's going to break that down step by step. You'll copy your individualized pixel for that brand, and you're going to go ahead and set it up here and plug it in. So once both of those things are set up, honestly, for the near term, you probably don't need to do anything with it, but it's now humming behind the scenes and tracking those site visits and those customers so that we can leverage external ads later. At a future date, I'm going to build out a module on how to actually use external ads to both drive sales to your Shopify page and or for Amazon launches. So just set it up now, and then in the future, if you want to run ads or retarget customers, this is the data it's going to pull from. Okay, so the purpose of this video is to go through all of the app integrations that we've used and liked and that you may want to consider when you're building out your own Shopify page. What's really cool within the Shopify ecosystem is they let third-party developers develop tools that you can integrate seamlessly into Shopify to really bring in some advanced features. Some of these are free, but most of them cost around $10 a month. So you got to kind of weigh into the equation, how much am I really going to use this? You absolutely do not need these apps. You can do everything well that we talked about before without them. However, if you want to kind of step up your game and do some different things and really add some more professional elements to your site, apps are a great way to do that and to potentially make your operations and life easier with Shopify. So the first app that we really like is to actually add a buy on Amazon button to all of your product pages. And this is called the BNB app. But before we get into that, I'll just kind of walk you through why this may be important. I'm going to go to a site here called Liquid Death. These guys are like a really alternative mineral water that comes in a can. It almost looks like Monster Energy. It's like that death metal aggressive kind of branding. But they've done a tremendous business primarily on retail. But what's really interesting about Liquid Death is if you go to their website and you click on any of their product pages, they don't even have an option to actually purchase it from their own e-com site, and they don't redirect them to brick and mortar retail. They literally take all of their customers that go to their site and they direct them to Amazon. Why I think this is important is that even a big sophisticated brand has decided that, hey, from an e-commerce standpoint, the warehousing capabilities, the fulfillment capabilities, and really the simplicity of selling on Amazon is better than setting up our own infrastructure to go D2C to customers. So they've made it simple. If you want to buy Liquid Death, they direct you to Amazon. So if you click here on this buy on Amazon button, you guess it, it's going to go directly to their actual product listing page. And again, we've talked about this in other modules, but external traffic, Amazon tends to disproportionately reward it, even from your own site. And so I think it's just really clever that these guys have just said, hey, look, we're going to warehouse everything at Amazon. We're going to direct customers there to purchase it. And that could potentially instigate our presence and brand on Amazon. And if you look at this category of mineral water, these guys toggle between 1 and 2. And I think one of the reasons they do that is because they're diverting and directing all of this traffic. So using an app that enables you to do this within your Shopify page, number one, operationally makes your life easier, and is probably the thing that you want to do to begin with anyway, especially if you're an international seller and don't want to worry about logistics of D2C. But it also can help instigate your organic ranking on Amazon as well. So if we go back here, anytime you want to look at apps or add them and integrate them into your site, there's this app section. So you can click on the add apps button, and then you can actually go to the Shopify store. So the first one that we're going to look at to actually build in this buy on Amazon button is going to be called B&B app. And it's got like an orange logo here. You can actually look at ratings and stuff, which is a good way to tell how legit these apps are. This one's probably the least integrated of all the options we're going to talk about, but I think given the benefits, it's certainly one worth exploring. So this is 14-day free trial. It's $9.99 a month after you do that. So you can go ahead and add the app. And then basically this is what it's going to take you to anytime you install an app on Shopify. Just go ahead and click install app. Now, if you've not added your credit card information yet, you're going to have to go ahead and do that in order to add these apps, but we've added a card here. So we're just going to go ahead and hit approve. It's going to be 14 days free. Then after that, it'll charge recurring. Now this one is different. You'll see this pop up when it comes up. Most of the Shopify integrations for like mainstream, well-developed apps, it's literally connect and go and you're off to the races. But in this case, you actually have to email them, including the theme that you're using for them to actually send you the script and integrate it into your site. You may have to add them as an authorized user. So to enable the buy now on Amazon, the B&B app, you got to email support at jojo.agency, and then in the subject to say request collaboration plus your actual Shopify URL. So that's basically it on this one. Some interesting stuff here though is if you come here, they've got a really slick SOP that they put in this Google Docs. I'm going to include that in a link down below, but it literally walks through exactly what the app does, how to set everything up, how to email them, etc. This is an example here of what it actually looks like. So you can see here, you can add Walmart, you can add eBay, you can add all this stuff. I definitely recommend just sticking clean with buy on Amazon. So you can see there how it actually looks on the product page. And then it's got all the different setup tips that you need. A couple things here that I recommend that you do is one, to use Amazon attribution links when you divert people that click on that button to your product detail page. You'll get a 10% referral bonus, number one, but it may also help instigate the benefits of that external traffic. Now, because Shopify is not one of the drop downs in the attribution that you can select like Facebook and Google and things like that, they've got another kind of SOP here within that Google Doc that describes how you set up the attribution. But basically, you're going to want to go into your advertising console within Amazon, go to the attribution section, and then you're basically going to want to do in the drop down publisher new. So if you click on that drop down, there's like, again, Facebook, all these other kind of publishers. Click on new. You're going to enter your Shopify store, and then the click-through URL, which is actually going to be the product display page. So in our case, if we've got this golf travel case, we're just going to copy that for the United States into that, and then it's going to actually create an Amazon attribution link. You then take that Amazon attribution link and then go back to your Shopify page in that buy now section, and you're going to want to say, hey, use this link when somebody clicks on this. Now, another cool thing that you can do here, because you may have shoppers coming internationally, is they've also got some geotagging. So you can do the exact same thing using IP address, that if somebody comes from Canada, it's going to actually, when they click on the buy on Amazon, it's going to go to your Canadian listing. If it's in the UK, it's going to go to your UK listing. So I really like that dynamic approach that's going to look at the IP address, it's going to find what country they're on, and then if they click on that buy now on Amazon, they're going to go to your product detail page. You get a 10% referral bonus, which is always good. You don't have to worry about the warehousing logistics of a 3PL sending direct to consumers. And then you maybe get some benefit from organic ranking lift because you're diverting that external traffic. So app number one, I would definitely say, even if you're going to do nothing, that's a pretty inexpensive one. I definitely recommend adding that buy on Amazon. Now, the second thing I recommend that you instigate is a actual review app that makes reviews a lot more dynamic. If you want to just have your Shopify reviews be standalone reviews that are completely different from your Amazon listings, a couple to look at there is Loox, Loox. And what's kind of cool about this one is if you scroll down, this is an example of the Udi.com. You can kind of see here that it enables customers to not only leave written and rating reviews, but also leave pictures, which can be really powerful to use in other assets. So Loox is a great one if you want to have standalone Shopify reviews. Okendo is another one kind of in the same vein as Loox if you wanted another alternative. But the one that I recommend for people that sell on Amazon primarily, and that's where the bulk of their activity is an app called Review, and it's spelled a little bit different, but we're going to go ahead and go into that right now. Close this out. Again, anytime you want to add apps, just go to the Shopify App Store. And then this one is Riviu. So it's spelled a little bit weird. It says the AliExpress review apps, but you can also bring in reviews from Amazon. You can import them, Etsy, etc. So if you click on this one here, you can there's a free option available, and then they've got some kind of premium features as well. You just go ahead and add that app. But what it does is you can connect to your Amazon store, and then it's going to actually scrape and pull the reviews that you want and attach them to the specific product that you want on your Shopify page. So this is awesome, right? Because the chances of you getting 1,000, 2,000 reviews from your Shopify site until you start really scaling up and running external ads is pretty minimal. Even really, really popular Shopify sites that sell, $50+ million a year don't have thousands of reviews. So you can bring in that social proof from all the work that you've already done on Amazon and have those reviews show up on your Shopify page. Now, what I recommend here is it actually does let you edit reviews. I'm actually a fan of leaving negative reviews on there. I think that if you ever go to a page and it's like all 4 and 5 star reviews and it's 1,000 reviews, most customers are going to know it's bullshit. So leave in some of the negative reviews, but what you can do is you can edit out the ones that are just ridiculous. Like we've all had those 1, 2, 3 star reviews that, all customers are right, but these ones are freaking wrong, just the way that they've written the reviews. I'm ethically fine with actually removing those reviews that just kind of suck and they don't really make sense, and the customers obviously kind of in a planet of their own. But do leave the ones in there that are legitimate critical reviews that can actually help inform customers. But I'll leave it up to you on how you want to do that. There are FTC rules and guidelines around reviews. Not going to get into that in this video. You use your own moral compass, but I see nothing wrong with editing out the ones that are really, really erroneous and then leaving in those other negative reviews for social proof. So I'm not going to do it here, but basically you add the app and there's instructions on how you actually integrate it with your actual Amazon store. And I think this is a fantastic way, even if you've got a brand new Shopify page, but you've been selling on Amazon for a while, to instigate a lot of social proof. So the third app that we're going to integrate is related to email. We don't frankly do a ton of email marketing with our brands. I think it's something that we're going to step up here over the next year, but you definitely should have a way to grab customers' email with a pop-up and use that email address to send a couple emails. I think the first most important one is to send a welcome email after someone's actually signed up. So if they've kind of had a pop-up come up, they've signed up for whatever your deal is, give a automated sequence to actually send them a welcome email. And then the other one is an abandoned cart. So what's really cool about Shopify is if somebody's kind of entered their information, their email, their address, but they haven't actually completed the checkout, you can instigate a series of emails within an hour, immediately, within a day, 3 days, 7 days. You can kind of set the sequence to actually remind those customers that they've left an item in their cart and they can add it. You can throw in discounts for that. We've all seen this as shoppers before. So there's a couple options. One is Shopify actually has their own integrated email, which we're going to get into in a later module. One that we've used just because I'm familiar with Klaviyo and it seems to be one of the most popular, if not the most popular on e-commerce sellers, is adding the Klaviyo app. So if you're going to add Shopify, you don't need to worry about this for your email, but if you're going to do Klaviyo, you can just see here email and SMS, add the app. And then it's going to prompt you here if you don't already have a Klaviyo account to actually sign up for one, or you can actually use an email and password of an existing account. So we're not going to get into that here. Again, we'll talk a little bit more in the email section on the Klaviyo setup, but Klaviyo is really good. You can build out flows in Klaviyo, and then all this integration does is if somebody's signed up for a newsletter, it's going to automatically connect the two. If somebody's abandoned a cart, it's going to know that through the Shopify integration, and there's a ton of other automations that you can build out here. So if you choose to use Klaviyo, it does cost money, but I would add that app here to your Shopify store. So then this next one here is not necessary, but I just wanted to talk about it because it's pretty slick in case you wanted to get a little bit more advanced, and it's an app called Postscript. So if I type in Postscript, what basically Postscript does is it enables you to actually gather a customer's mobile number. And again, you can do this from the pop-up. Let's say that you had a 25% discount or whatever incentive you wanted to have from a pop-up message on your page. You can get them to leave their email address in addition to their mobile number. And I think it goes without saying that mobile numbers just see a wildly increased open rate. It's 90% plus. So if you wanted to start gathering those SMS numbers so that you can actually target those customers with promotions when you're launching products, etc., Postscript is one that you want to add here. And it just enables you to cultivate those mobile numbers and then activate them with campaigns, much like you're sending an email. Same kind of deal here. You could add this app and you're off to the races with Postscript. So the next one we're going to look at is Aftership. Again, not in the critical category, but as you start to accumulate orders, it's definitely a huge customer experience. Aftership basically enables you to message customers either via email and or text with updates on their orders. We've all seen this, right? And we like to see, hey, when is stuff left the warehouse? When has it been dropped off at my door? Customers want to know what the heck's happening with their package. So you can add this Aftership app here, which if you just type in Aftership and then go to the order tracking and SMS, basically integrates with the checkout process and provides customers the option to then get updates. Again, similarly to Postscript and email, you can actually leverage this information with opt-ins to actually target customers when you're launching products. So it's another way to accumulate customer data. Another one we're going to talk about here is called Deliver. As a disclaimer, I haven't personally used Deliver, but they're one of the more well-known and funded 3PL networks within the United States. So this gives you an option if you want somebody else to manage all of your D2C fulfillment. You could send a portion of your inventory to Deliver. They'll distribute in their warehouses. You basically add this app, Deliver Fulfillment here. It's going to integrate with your Shopify site such that anytime you get an order here, it's going to pull from that inventory. They've got pick, pack, and ship fees. They've got storage fees that you need to cover. But this is a way if you want to just completely clean your hands of the fulfillment of your D2C Shopify orders, Deliver has an app. If you work with a more independent 3PL, most have a process that you can integrate with them, whether it be software or if you add them as a user where they get an email on orders. There's a lot of ways to do this, but one of the more automated connected ways is to use this Deliver app. Then the final one we're going to look at is an FAQ section. So there's a lot that you can do with the basic setup where you don't really need to overthink this. But again, if you want some more advanced ways to get in front of customer concerns, to address issues, to mitigate the risk of people coming to your site, not finding what they want, and then leaving you a negative review on Amazon, one that we like is this easy FAQ page, Customer FAQs from Avocado Labs. There's a free option available, but it basically gives you some carousel, more dynamic design options on how you can integrate FAQs. You can put these in an about section, you can put these in an FAQ section, but what I really like is you can actually put them underneath each of your product pages as well. So if somebody comes to your product page, either before they check out and or to find more information from a purchase they made on Amazon, they can come and there's carousel options that can be very specific at the product level and they look really, really slick. So those are the apps that we have used and recommend. Again, not all of them are necessary. In fact, you don't have to install any of them. But I think, looking at your own business, your own situation, you can see which ones may make sense for the money for you. I definitely think that buy on Amazon and then the integration of reviews is something that everybody should do. But to each their own. Hopefully you found some value here and you can integrate these to maximize your Shopify site and customer experience. All right, so one of the coolest things obviously about having your own Shopify website asset, which is different than Amazon, is that you can really own and leverage customer information, whether it be email and or SMS text. It's not really powerful at the start, especially if you're just using this as a brand builder and just something that gives a face to your brand and a way for customers that shop on Amazon to reach out. But over time, you'd be surprised you actually might see a lot more emails than you think. And even 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 emails over time can be a really powerful list when you're launching products on Amazon to really get that flywheel going and to really take advantage of the honeymoon period. It can also just be a good way to build out your brand, to communicate with customers, and to retrieve lost revenue in the case of retargeting abandoned cart emails. So there's really two ways that you can do this. The simplest being the actual in-house Shopify email software. Now again, I recommend this if you're just getting started, don't want to figure out a new platform. Shopify email is frankly great. So if you come to the App Store and you just type in email, the first one that you're going to see is Shopify email. Click on that sucker, add app. It's free, so that's another good thing about this because it's an in-house thing. Go ahead and install app. So let's just start looking at creating a campaign here. You will need to actually have selected a plan and included your credit card number. So if you're just on the free plan and you haven't done anything with your credit card yet, you won't have this functionality. But you could have all these different templates that they've got here that you can set up. So let's say that you wanted to talk about a discount like a new launch. You could select that template. You can select who you want to send it to in terms of segments. You got your subject line, and then anything in here you can edit. Pretty simple stuff here if most of you guys have used any of these email platforms before. But again, it's all integrated into Shopify, which is pretty slick. Now, if you come up here to this marketing tab, there's some automations you can also set up with Shopify, which you can do a welcome email sequence, a first purchase upsell, customer win back if they bought but haven't bought in a long time. And then you can do some additional automations like abandoned cart sequences and things like that we talked about. So anytime you want to set up and create these automations, come into this marketing section, just using the simple Shopify app gets it done, and you basically do the work once and then it continues to perpetually do some things for you. And then as you build up that list over time, you can come in and create those custom email campaigns when you've got a launch or you've got other things that you want your customers to know about. You can do those on a one-off basis too. Now, a more advanced one that we actually personally use is Klaviyo, as I mentioned in the other app email video, but we're just going to walk through this one in a little bit more detail. Again, type in Klaviyo. We've already installed the app. So we can go back here to this app store and then go to Klaviyo. By the way, I say Klaviyo. I don't know if that's the pronunciation of it, but let's assume it's Klaviyo. Klaviyo, to each their own. Now I'm just using this with my Adam Heist email, so I'm not going to set this up within Klaviyo, but you can collect email addresses here. You can select a list you want to add them to, so you can see I've got a bunch of other lists here already, but we could add a list like Birdie subscribers or Birdie welcome emails, etc. And then you can just update your settings there, and then it'll ask you to confirm the integration, so we can update the integration, and we are done. Now, if you come up here to the flow section, this is where the stuff can really get interesting. Again, very similar to the Shopify stuff, except you just have a lot more advanced features. So you can do a welcome sequence anytime somebody subscribes to a newsletter or a pop-up on your page. Again, abandoned cart, browse abandonment, so if they've looked at stuff but haven't actually bought or added anything to cart. Customer thank you if they purchase something, a product review request, and a customer win back if they haven't purchased for a while. So if you just look here at the abandoned cart as an example, we can get started on that. It'll basically just say, hey, when somebody started the checkout, but they didn't actually purchase the product, we could wait 4 hours. We could edit this if we wanted to and make this 1 hour here and save it there. So we could just say, hey, if someone's added this to cart, hasn't done this, we want to send them a follow-up email. And then it's already got some done up emails, but you can edit these. Oftentimes the first email sequence will just remind them that they forgot something. Then you can see here, wait 20 hours, and we could add a coupon code here if we wanted. So as a one-time deal, since it's been a day since you attempted to check out and you haven't purchased it, we're adding a 10% off coupon. It expires in 2 hours, or it expires in 12 hours, or whatever it is. So you can build out all these flows. Again, you set these up one time, and then anytime those events happen via that Shopify integration, via the app, it's going to automatically trigger these things and send it out. It's super powerful stuff. Doesn't need to really reinvent the wheel. Literally just a welcome email and abandoned cart is enough for most of us on the Amazon platform. If you want to get into sending weekly emails, if you want to do more integrated stuff, you totally can. But I think those two email sequences, in addition to using this email list to actually send stuff out when you launch a product on Amazon, can really set you aside from most people that just focus on Amazon and don't build their own customer list. Now, the final thing I want to talk about, and again, this is why Klaviyo may be worth the extra investment. If you go to the sign up form section, they actually have some really cool integrations that you can do for pop-ups. So the common one that most people do is if you're on a page and you go to hit the back button, or you go to X out of that window, they'll pop up with a, hey, save 10%. That tends to be the one that's the most popular. My recommendation is to definitely do these pop-ups, but see if you can entice the customers more. So we use something that's either a stiffer discount, like 20%, but regardless of what promo you want to do, whether it's a steeper discount, sometimes we also do free monthly drawings for free products, and then we'll actually use refurb inventory from our Amazon stock, or just send them a new product directly and do drawings on a monthly basis. But I just recommend doing better than 10% because people just see 10% all the time. But you select the one that you want. What's really interesting about this is that you can actually do some additional SMS stuff. So you actually wouldn't need PostScript if you start to cultivate SMSs using Klaviyo. So it's kind of an email and SMS platform. But you can see here that it'll have a pop-up, limited time 10% off, do email to continue, and then you can just say want SMS only deals, and you can do some additional things to grab SMSs. But if you basically create this form, you can integrate it directly into your Shopify page using the app connection, and then anytime that pop-up comes up on your own site, it's going to cultivate that information, and you can leverage it within your Klaviyo campaigns, in addition to those abandoned cart sequences and those other automations. And then again, if you set up your welcome sequence, as soon as somebody fills that out, you can either send them an email and or text message just welcoming them to your brand, what you're all about. You might even want to say, hey, if you want to check us out on Amazon, here's our brand store on Amazon. There's a lot that you can do there. So there's email. I definitely think doing some very basic stuff there goes a long way to leveraging that email list that hopefully you'll cultivate over time with your own Shopify site.